Today, we're making a vegetarian Thai curry with some aubergine, some tofu, and some mushrooms. And the choice of curry paste today is yellow curry paste, which in Thailand is referred to as the kari curry, because of the added curry powder with a bit of Indian curry influence. Normally, I like to say the recipe is a guideline, and I like to switch curry paste, but for the vegetarian Thai curry, I highly recommend using the yellow curry paste because it adds so much complexity of flavors that, in my opinion, it works the best without meat and fish sauce. So, let's do it. Like I said many times, but never enough, the most important ingredient any coconut-based Thai curries is thick coconut milk. They're easy to buy, they're so storage friendly. Please go ahead and buy them. And what we want to do is to add a thickish layer to our pan. And this, through heat, will magically become our oil that we'll use to cook everything. So, we slowly bring in some heat. The objective of the exercise here is to split the fat content and the solids by using heat. And in this process, the coconut fat, the coconut oil, would start to cook the solids, caramelizing them, giving us deeper flavors and giving you this extremely rich but not heavy curry. For me, the most fail-proof way to do this is to use a whisk. So today, Cassie's Panda whisk, and you go. You do this at a pace that you're comfortable with. So if you're doing it for the first time, do it at medium heat. Lower the heat if you feel something might burn. Once you finish this process, the rest becomes so easy. It's more like making a vegetable soup. Now, once you see this thick consistency at the bottom and you can feel a bit of resistance, that's when you know this is ready for the curry paste. At this point, the oil is already floating to the top, but of course, because of the white color, it's very hard to spot. So we add our yellow curry paste. Now, to determine how much curry paste to add, your best friend is your palate. Taste before you commit the next 20 minutes and wonderful ingredients into making a dish that you might or might not be able to eat. So the best way to do it is very simple. You grab a teaspoon and you take a bit of this mixture and you add about 10 times water to that mixture and you give it a mix. You taste, and this is the level of spiciness in the final product, and you adjust accordingly. Not the flavors, but the spice level. As you can see clearly now, this is what I meant by splitting. You can see the coconut oil here, and they've been separated from the solids. We now enter the stage of flavor building. With oil and heat, we are evaporating the water content from the curry paste and the coconut solids, concentrating their flavors, building depths. And once again, you do it at a pace that you're comfortable with, making sure you're not burning the bottom. If you need to buy yourself more time, just add a dash more thick coconut milk to help you out. Now, once there's not much steam coming up, this is when I normally like to introduce the fish sauce. Now, to replace the fish sauce, we have something that's equally umami rich, easily accessible. We have some light soy sauce, which is by definition vegan. But make sure you check the packaging, of course. We add our soy sauce, and this is what the majority of the salinity is going to come from. So treat it like salt, taste, and adjust accordingly. This is definitely not authentic, by the way, but it might be tasty. Once we've cooked out the soy sauce, we start to slowly build our cooking liquid. And speaking of authenticity, this would be when most recipe calls for palm sugar. For me personally, I don't think it's necessary, but once again, taste and decide for yourself. Now, we start building our cooking liquid by using some thin coconut milk. Again, the desired texture is personal. If you want something thick, add more thick coconut milk. If you want a very thin curry, you could start adding water now. I like to add them bit by bit to not unnecessarily dilute the flavors and having to reduce very rapidly at the end, wilting the vegetables. So while we prep the veg, we'll let this simmer on the side. For me, in any Thai curry, the actual curry is the star of the show. Anything else is there to make the curry taste and look good. And it is for that reason I've selected these ingredients, because I'm looking for sponges. I want things that would absorb this beautiful liquid we just spent the last 10 minutes whisking away. And for that, we have some chestnut mushrooms, some tofu puffs, fried tofu. If you want to use regular tofu, use firm tofu for this recipe. Otherwise, they will just crumble and break apart. And we have a lovely aubergine. First things first, we deal with the fried tofu. Whenever I use products that have been fried in the manufacturing process, I always like to boil them for at least 5 minutes separately to get rid of most of the oil. Simply cover this. Lid on, so whatever is floating to the top gets steamed, and we set it to the side to boil. Next up, we have our chestnut mushrooms. I normally like to remove the stems because they add very little, and we quarter them into bite-sized pieces, straight in. I personally like to cook as I prep, just because it's easier and faster, but if you're making this for the first time, do all the prep before you start so you can have a stress-free experience and actually enjoy the cooking. If you're going to stress yourself out cooking, order takeaway. For this particular recipe, if you really want to go the extra mile, saute the mushrooms, grill the aubergine beforehand to develop extra depth, and try both ways and see which you prefer. In traditional Thai cooking, curry, except for masaman, is a boiling dish. You want clean flavors to balance the complexity of the curry paste. Give this a mix, make sure the bottom's not catching, and once again, top up with some thin coconut milk. And the mushrooms, they would release a lot of moisture as well. That's why I'm not covering the whole thing. Next up, we have some cherry tomatoes, which I like to add in 2 stages. We add them now for the glutamic acid, for the umami, for the complexity and the deep flavors. And we add the other half later for acidity and some contrasting textures. That's perfect. Now, the aubergine. For this recipe, again, like I said, because we're looking for sponges, I would encourage you to peel the aubergines so that they have more surface area to absorb this wonderful, wonderful sauce. Perfect. Depending on the type of aubergine you use, if you're worried about bitterness or the aubergine being overly watery, put the sliced aubergine into a microwave for 2 minutes or a steamer for 10 minutes. That will guarantee you the best sponges. With this particular variety of aubergine, from experience, it's not necessary. And again, bite-sized chunks, factoring in the shrinkage, of course. Straight in. Once again, we carefully mix everything. Because in curry powder, there's a lot of turmeric, so if you're not wearing an apron, be extra careful. Once again, we top up with some thin coconut milk. Bear in mind, the aubergine, like the mushrooms, would release some moisture. Don't cover everything. Now, we check on the tofu puffs. You see this layer of fat floating to the top. That's what we're getting rid of. And once it had a bit of time to cool down, you try to squeeze them as much as you can to get rid of the moisture and the oil to make space for the beautiful curry. But just to speed things up, I'm going to rinse this under cold water. This is by a mile the best way to use tofu puffs and fried tofu, by the way. So do it for all your recipes, not just for this one. If you ever need convincing, just look at this liquid. And this has been rinsed. Now, once again, no matter what size they come in, I like to at least cut them in half. Because this is what's going to mop up all the flavors like no tomorrow. And because we've only made 1 incision, they'll hold their shape pretty well. Once again, we carefully mix. Now, as tempting as it is to add water now, I would suggest you to restrain yourself and put the lid on instead. This way, we allow everything we've added so far to release all the moisture through steam, and then we can gauge how much liquid we have and what to add. About 5 minutes. After about 5 minutes, our sponges are ready. Just look at that minimum dilution. You almost can't see the curry now because they were all absorbed. Very simple, as promised. We have round 2 cherry tomatoes, this time for acidity and color. And I know most curries calls for Thai basil, but for the aubergine and for the Indian curry powder, I prefer using coriander. And I like to add the stalks as well. And again, look at this color. Perfect. Let's plate one, shall we? Give this a mix. Remember this turmeric, wear an apron. Oh, look at these beautiful sponges. It doesn't look like there's much of a sauce, but once you bite into them, they'll explode. A tiny bit more coriander for garnish. And that's it. Yellow curry, or curry curry, depending on your jurisdiction, with aubergine, tofu puff, and mushrooms. I really, really hope you enjoy. Where's my wine? I keep forgetting my wine. All right.